Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down something you see all the time, but maybe never thought much about. How can a survey of just 1,000 people really predict what an entire nation thinks? Well, the answer is all about the powerful science of research sampling.
I mean, think about it. You see it constantly in the news, right? Some report claims to know what millions of people believe about a big issue, but turns out they only talk to a few hundred of them. How is that even possible? Are they just making it up?
Well, the secret isn't some kind of magic. It's a really powerful statistical idea called sampling. You see, it's pretty much impossible, not to mention crazy expensive, to survey every single person in a large group, what researchers call the population. So instead, they select a smaller, more manageable group from inside it. And that smaller group, that's the sample. So at its heart, sampling is just the formal process of picking that representative little group. The best way to think about it is like a giant tree. Now, you can't possibly study every single leaf on that tree, right? So to understand the whole thing, you carefully select one branch. That branch, that's your sample. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. How do researchers actually choose that branch? They don't just grab any old one. They follow one of two very, very different philosophies, two totally distinct paths to get to an answer. And here they are, those two paths. On one side, you have probability sampling. Think of it like a lottery. It's built on fairness, giving every single person an equal shot at being picked. On the other side, you've got non-probability sampling, which relies on a researcher's expert judgment. So it's this fundamental choice. Are you going to use pure chance or deliberate choice? First up, let's walk down the path of random chance. You could call this the gold standard, especially when you need your results to be as unbiased as humanly possible. The absolutely crucial point here is that a random process gives every single person in the population a known and equal opportunity to be picked. This isn't just about being haphazard. It's a mathematically sound way to completely strip the researcher's own biases out of the equation. Now, random doesn't just mean one thing. There's simple random sampling, which is literally like drawing names out of a hat. Stratified sampling is a bit more strategic. You might divide the population into groups, like age brackets, and then draw randomly from each one to make sure you get a good mix. Cluster sampling is great for huge populations. You randomly pick a few entire cities to study instead of trying to reach people everywhere. And then there's systematic sampling, which is simple. You just pick every 10th name off a list. So why go through all that trouble? Well, researchers take this path when the stakes are really high. They use it when they absolutely have to minimize bias, when their population is incredibly diverse, and most importantly, when they want to be able to confidently say that their small sample truly reflects the entire group. All right, let's switch gears and explore that other path. This is where randomness steps aside, and the researcher's own knowledge and specific goals get into the driver's seat. This is all about sampling by deliberate choice. With non-probability sampling, the selection is completely intentional. The researcher uses their own judgment to pick the participants. This means not everyone has a chance to be included. The selection is targeted specifically to fit the study's needs. And these methods are incredibly practical. You've got convenience sampling, which is just what it sounds like, surveying people who are easy to reach. Judgmental sampling lets the researcher handpick subjects based on their expertise. And snowball sampling is fascinating. You find one person and they refer you to others, which is perfect for studying hidden or hard-to-reach communities. So when does this path actually make sense? Well, it's the go-to for early-stage exploratory research, or maybe when you're on a really tight budget or deadline. You use this method when your goal isn't to make a grand claim about everyone, but to gain some deep insights from a very specific group, and to do it quickly and efficiently. So we've seen the two paths, the rigorous random approach and the practical deliberate one, chance versus choice. How does a researcher pick the right tool for the job? Well, it all comes down to the trade-offs. And the contrast between them is pretty stark when you see it laid out like this. Probability sampling is all about fairness and accuracy, using randomness to reduce bias and create a sample that truly represents a diverse population. Non-probability sampling, on the other hand, is all about focus and efficiency, using subjective judgment to get specific insights, even if it means the sample might not represent the whole group. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. The choice between these two methods isn't about one being good and the other bad. Not at all. It's a strategic decision. It's a fundamental trade-off between the ironclad statistical accuracy you get from probability sampling and the speed, cost-effectiveness, and real-world practicality you get from non-probability sampling.
So the next time you see a poll or a study, you now have the key to unlock what it really means. Don't just look at the findings. Ask how they got them. Was the sample built on pure mathematical chance, or was it the result of a deliberate expert choice? Because that answer, well, that tells you everything about what the results really mean.